Let's talk about that moment when you're this close to what feels like forever, and suddenly he starts acting like you've got cooties. 1 minute he's all in, the next he's ghosting like he's training for the paranormal Olympics. And here's the kicker. This isn't him being flaky. This is sacred geometry in motion, the universe's version of those "Are you sure you want to proceed?" pop-ups before life-altering software updates. Picture this. You're a master chef about to serve the most important meal of your life, and the universe sneaks into your kitchen to rearrange all your spices. Annoying? Absolutely. Pointless? Hardly. That divine masculine energy isn't playing games. It's running final diagnostics on your spiritual Wi-Fi connection. Can you stay connected when the signal gets spotty? Keep your chill when the blueprint changes? Love without a manual. This isn't about jumping through hoops. It's about proving to yourself more than anyone that you've graduated from love as a need to love as a language. And the test questions? Oh, they're sneaky. They come disguised as radio silence, mixed signals, or that special flavor of confusion that makes you wonder if you've been hallucinating the connection this whole time. But here's the secret. This final exam isn't pass, fail. It's pass, evolve. So relax. That distance you're feeling? It's not emptiness. It's the universe holding space for your grand finale transformation. And when you stop seeing his behavior as rejection and start recognizing it as the last few reps in your spiritual gym session, that's when the real magic happens. The kind that doesn't just bring him back, but makes sure he stays. Ready to crack the code? Let's dive in. Let's be real. Love isn't just about butterflies and soul staring. Sometimes it's about standing in the middle of an emotional hurricane and whispering, "Is that all you've got?" And that's exactly what the divine masculine is waiting to see from you before he steps fully into union. This isn't some petty pop quiz from the universe. It's the final initiation, the last checkpoint where he needs to know. Have you really mastered yourself, or are you still handing over your peace like a shaky negotiator with no leverage? Think of it like this. You're a lighthouse, not the kind that flickers every time a storm rolls in, but the kind that stays lit even when the waves are slamming against the rocks, like a toddler throwing a tantrum. The divine masculine, he's the ship, and before he docks, he's going to circle your waters a few times, maybe even vanish into the fog for a while, just to see, does your light dim when he's not looking? If it does, guess what? The test isn't over. You've probably noticed it by now. The way he pulls back right when things start feeling too good. It's not because he's afraid of love. Well, maybe a little. Let's be fair. Masculine energy has its own healing to do. It's because the universe is asking, can you hold the frequency of love even when he's not there to reflect it back to you? This is where most people fail. Not because they're weak, but because they mistake love for attachment. Love says, I am whole with or without you. Attachment says, if you leave, I'll forget who I am. And the divine masculine, he's not here to be your emotional life raft. He's here to be your partner, which means you've got to know how to swim on your own first. Here's the unspoken rule. the more unshakable you become, the more he has to step forward. Masculine energy is wired to pursue what is certain. If you're still wavering between "I'm a goddess" and "why hasn't he texted back?" well, that's like trying to build a house on quicksand. He's not going to commit to something that could collapse at any moment. But when you stand firm, when you love without fear, when you trust without evidence, when you know deep in your bones that separation is just an illusion, that's when the game changes. That's when he looks at you and thinks, "Damn, she's not just ready for me, she's ready for us." So, how do you actually pass this test? First, stop treating his distance like a personal failure. What if, just what if, his absence isn't about you at all, but about him making sure he's ready too? The masculine doesn't just test you, he tests himself. Can he show up without running? Can he love without hiding? Your stability gives him the safety to find that answer. Second, stop keeping score. If you're still mentally tallying up who texted last or who loves more, you're missing the point. This isn't a battle, it's a dance. And sometimes the most powerful move is standing still. And finally, laugh a little. Yeah, I said it. This whole journey is ridiculous if you think about it. Two souls playing hide and seek across lifetimes, all to learn the same lesson. Love isn't something you lose, it's something you are. So the next time he ghosts for a week, because let's face it, he probably will, just smile and say, "Take your time, buddy, I'll be right here," glowing. Because that's what sovereign love looks like, and that's exactly what calls him home. Let's talk about control, or rather, the illusion of it. Because here's the funny thing about twin flame unions. The more you try to make it happen, the more it slips through your fingers like sand. And just when you think you've got it all figured out, boom, the divine masculine throws you a curveball. Not to mess with you, but to ask one crucial question. Can you finally let go? You've been here before. That moment when you've done all the inner work, recited all the affirmations, and even convinced yourself you're totally zen about the whole thing, until he disappears again. And suddenly, all that spiritual wisdom flies out the window, and you're right back to obsessively checking your phone like it's a magic 8-ball predicting your future. Will he text today? Signs point to maybe? Here's the truth. The divine masculine isn't just testing your patience. He's testing your trust, not just in him, but in the universe itself. Because if you're still white-knuckling the steering wheel, trying to manifest him into commitment, what you're really saying is, "I don't believe this will happen unless I force it." And guess what? That's not surrender. That's spiritual micromanagement. Think of it like this. You're trying to catch a butterfly. The more you chase it, the more it flutters away. But sit still, breathe, and let go. That's when it lands on your shoulder. The divine masculine operates the same way. He can feel when you're in that desperate, grasping energy, and it's like repellent to his higher self. But when you release the timeline, when you stop treating love like a transaction, I did X, so where's my Y? That's when the magic happens. This isn't some passive wait and see nonsense, though. Surrender isn't about giving up. It's about giving over. It's saying, universe, I've done my part. Now, surprise me. And that's terrifying, isn't it? Because what if the surprise is, nothing? What if you let go and he never comes back? But here's the kicker. If he doesn't, he wasn't yours to begin with. And if he is, no amount of running, hiding, or divine cold feet will stop what's already written in the stars. How to actually surrender without losing your mind. First of all, stop treating silence like a punishment. His quiet phases aren't abandonment. They're invitations. Invitations to stop seeking validation outside yourself. To stop needing his presence to feel complete. The more peaceful you are in the silence, the louder your soul calls to his. Quit the spiritual hustle. You can't meditate, affirm, or crystal grid your way into a forced reunion. At some point, you've got to close the manifestation journal, put down the tarot cards, and just live. Love isn't a prize for perfect spiritual performance. It's what happens when you stop performing altogether. Laugh at the absurdity of it. This whole journey is ridiculous. You're two souls playing an eternal game of cosmic tag, and the rules keep changing. So the next time you catch yourself spiraling over his mixed signals, just shake your head and say, wow, we're really out here doing this again, huh? Humor is surrender's best friend. The moment you truly stop needing the reunion is the moment it becomes inevitable. Not because you manifested it, but because you finally got out of your own way. The divine masculine isn't waiting for you to perfect your love. He's waiting for you to trust it. And when you do, that's when the universe sighs in relief and says, finally, now we can begin. So relax, let go, and watch what happens when you stop trying to steer the ship and just let it sail. You know that moment when you're scrolling through your camera roll and suddenly, bam, there's a photo of you from 5 years ago that makes you cringe so hard you almost drop your phone. Who let me leave the house like that? You whisper to yourself, equal parts horror and nostalgia. Well, guess what? The divine masculine does the same thing. Except instead of bad haircuts, he reflects back your unhealed wounds, your hidden fears, the parts of yourself you've been avoiding like last season's fashion trends. Here's the cosmic joke. The closer you get to union, the more your twin flame will seem to morph into the exact thing that triggers you the most. It's not because he's trying to mess with you, though, let's be real, it sure feels that way sometimes. It's because the universe is forcing you to finally deal with the one question you've been dodging. Can you love yourself, flaws, fears, and all, before demanding someone else do it for you? Let's get real for a second. If you're still waiting for him to show up and finally make you feel complete, you've missed the point of this whole twin flame thing. The reunion isn't about filling a void. It's about two whole people choosing each other from a place of overflow, not lack. And the divine masculine? He's like a cosmic bouncer at the door of union, checking your vibes before letting you in. Sorry, ma'am, No emotional baggage allowed past this point. This is why he'll suddenly seem distant when you're feeling needy, or why he'll mirror back your trust issues right when you thought you'd fixed them. It's not punishment, it's mercy. Because if you walk into union still carrying that invisible "I'm not enough" sign on your back, you'll turn the whole thing into another karmic roller coaster instead of the divine partnership it's meant to be. Here's the magic no one tells you. The moment you stop seeing his behavior as a problem to fix and start seeing it as a reflection to heal, the test is over. Suddenly, the man who seemed so triggering becomes the man who feels like home, because you finally come home to yourself. And that's when the real reunion begins. So the next time he holds up that emotional mirror, don't look away. Lean in, wink at your reflection, and whisper, "Nice try, universe, but I've already met this version of me, and we're cool now." Let's get brutally honest for a second. This whole unconditional love thing, it sounds beautiful in theory, like some Pinterest-worthy quote over a sunset. But in practice, it's messy. It's loving someone when they're being distant, when they're screwing up, when they're so deep in their own healing chaos that they forget to text you back for 3 days or 3 months. And here's the kicker. The divine masculine's final test isn't about whether you can love him at his best. It's about whether you can love him at his most human. So you've done the work. You've journaled, meditated, screamed into pillows, forgiven past lives, and sworn you've reached peak enlightenment. And then, just when you think you're ready for that fairy tale reunion, he shows up with the emotional availability of a brick wall. Or worse, he ghosts right when things were getting good. Really, universe? This is the final exam. But here's the thing. This isn't about him being difficult. It's about you being real. Because love isn't love if it's conditional. If it's only there when he's perfect, when he's giving you what you want, when he's showing up exactly how you imagined. The divine masculine needs to know, can you love the soul beneath the mess? Not the fantasy, not the potential, but the actual, flawed, still growing man in front of you. We've all been trained to think of love like a vending machine. Insert enough kindness, patience, and understanding, and out pops commitment. But real love, it doesn't work like that. It's not a transaction. It's not, "I'll love you if you change." It's "I love you, period." And that's terrifying, because what if he never changes? What if this is it? That's the test. The divine masculine isn't waiting for you to love him perfectly. He's waiting for you to love him freely, without scorekeeping, without resentment, without that quiet little voice in your head that says, "I deserve better." Because here's the truth. If you're still keeping a mental tally of his mistakes, you haven't forgiven them. And if you haven't forgiven them, you haven't really chosen him. You've chosen an idea of him. Here's the magic no one talks about. The moment you stop needing him to be different, to be happy. The moment you stop seeing his flaws as obstacles and start seeing them as part of the journey, that's when the test ends. not because he suddenly becomes perfect, but because you finally understand. Love was never about fixing him. It was about freeing yourself. So the next time he's being distant or messy or just plain confusing, take a deep breath, smile, and whisper to the universe, I see what you're doing, and fine, I'll love him anyway. Because that's the secret no one tells you. Unconditional love isn't something you give him, it's something you give yourself. The freedom to love without fear, without limits, without an expiration date. And when you do, that's when the real reunion begins. So here you stand, at the edge of everything you've ever wanted, with the ghost of every doubt you've ever had whispering in your ear. What if I'm not ready? What if he never changes? What if this is all just a cosmic joke? Let me tell you a secret. The fact that you're even asking these questions means you're closer than you think. Because the divine masculine's final test was never about proving your worth to him. It was about proving it to yourself. Think of it like this. You've spent lifetimes building a cathedral inside your soul. Stone by stone, lesson by lesson, heartbreak by heartbreak. And now, just as the last ray of light is about to stream through the stained glass, you're suddenly afraid it might blind you. But darling, that light, it's not here to burn you. It's here to baptize you, to wash away the last traces of what if and leave only what is. The divine masculine isn't your judge. He's your witness. And what he's been waiting to see isn't perfection, but wholeness. The kind that stays soft in a world that's tried to harden you. The kind that chooses love even when logic screams to walk away. There's a moment in every great story, right before the hero claims their prize, when everything seems to fall apart. The sword is too heavy. The path disappears. The dragon looks suspiciously like your own reflection. This question mark, this is that moment. The universe isn't teasing you, it's preparing you. Because real love isn't a fairy tale. It's a daily decision to show up as the person who can actually sustain it. And those last-minute tests, they're just making sure your hands are steady enough to hold the miracle without dropping it. You'll know you've passed when the fear loses its flavor, when his silence feels like space instead of abandonment, when his humanity stops feeling like a betrayal and starts feeling like an invitation to love more deeply than your wounds ever allowed. That's when the magic happens, not because the stars aligned, but because you did. You see, the reason this journey has been so damn hard is because you're not just healing your heart, you're healing an ancient fracture in love itself. The lie that says it must be earned, that it can be lost, that it's anything less than the very fabric of existence. Every time you choose trust over terror, every time you meet his shadows with compassion instead of conditions, you're not just rewriting your story, you're rewriting the story. So the next time you catch yourself bracing for the other shoe to drop, remember, shoes are overrated anyway. Walk barefoot. Feel the earth beneath you. This love isn't something that happens to you. It's something you are. And that man who's been mirroring your every lesson back to you, he's not your destination, he's your celebration. The test is over, sweet soul. The only question left is, how wildly will you dance in the light of what comes next?